So this video is going to be about a new record I achieved recently. I was able to ride, as you can see here, 65.8, basically 66 miles on a single charge. And if you look at the upper left part of the computer, you see the battery charge here. I still have 2 blocks of energy. That means I could have used one of these blocks to easily go up to 70 miles and maybe the other block to go up to 75. And it's possible, depending on the terrain, that I could have dragged my, at this point, 45-pound heavy Brompton electric for the last 5 miles, which would have totaled 80. So I'm sure one day I'm going to try at first to do 75. If I can do 75, then I'll try to do 80, which would be an awful lot to do on 16-inch wheels. But this is something that is a surprise to me. I don't think I've ever gone near this far, nor have I had energy left after doing 66 miles already. Before I go any further, if you click over to my resource page, you can scroll down and there is a new section I recently added. This is for e-bike components and kits, just in case you decide to build your own. And I'm just giving you a few which are solid in my opinion. And this is the kit I have. This is a green kit. And Green has been selling kits for the Brompton for so many years, and these kits have gone through so many iterations. This is a small motor that they used to have. They are not currently selling that motor, which is really interesting. What they sell, well, this actually, even this is pretty big, but what they sell is this bigger motor. Does this even open? It's out of stock. If they are out of stock, you can still get in touch with them if you are interested in this kit, and you'll just wait. It'll take a few weeks, maybe a few months, and you can configure everything over here. The computer, which is the most important part for this video, is probably the most powerful computer that you can get. It has, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 different screens that you can scroll through by pushing these buttons, those gray buttons that you see, the left and right. And so you see these buttons here. You can see how much battery life you have very precisely. You can adjust the wattage that you add onto it. You can see your speed, the mileage that you have covered, how much effort you are making as you're pedaling, and this is just one screen. I mean, this computer is so powerful. You can even adjust the kind of effort the motor is going to put in when you are using regenerative braking, say on a downhill, and you can adjust it very precisely. You can adjust the sensor, how quickly you want the motor to engage when the system recognizes that you're trying to pedal. So this is just a phenomenal system. I should point out that the average person pedals at around 150 watts. So if you don't have an electric, that's fine. You are putting in roughly 150 watts of power. If there is a small uphill, or if you want to pick up the pace, you might be doing 200. By the time you're doing 250, you are beginning to perspire. There's some sweat is going to come out. So that's a serious effort for the average person of average fitness to do. Obviously, if you have an ultralight bike, you have a titanium bike, or if you are on a recumbent, you have significant aerodynamic support from a windshield or a rear box or something like that, then 150 is going to go a lot longer than it would for the average person. If I'm pedaling regular on a Brompton, I would say I'm probably cruising at 8-9 miles an hour at pedaling at 150 watts. So this is how much effort it takes to cover 8-9 miles in 1 hour. And these 66 miles we covered, this was a ride group, so I was not the only one here. We covered this in starting at 10 a.m. ending at 6:30. This was 8.5 hours, but we took at least an hour checking out food and eating, and an hour and a half. So I would say it was more like 7 hours. So this is roughly like averaging 10-11 miles an hour, something like that, maybe 10 miles an hour. So really not a lot of speed, and the slow speed is absolutely essential if you want to hypermile. In other words, to crank the maximum out of either the battery or out of your own human energy. 3. And here is the ride on the map. We started in Tarrytown in Lower Westchester, and there was a tremendous uphill. There is a tremendous uphill right here in the beginning, but then you go down, and you go up to this greenway here, and the greenway goes all the way down here. Then you have to go back into city traffic, but only for a short time, and then there's another greenway down here if you want to take a closer look. So this is the uphill. It's up, 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 and then flat a little bit, and then more up, up. And this is a lot for somebody who does not have a battery support, or who at least doesn't have a titanium or carbon frame. And look, it's just getting steeper and steeper. So the first part of it is really quite hard. But then once you get up to the top, it becomes rather easy. And somewhere here you enter the greenway. There is a water reservoir on the left, and I think this is the point where we entered the greenway. This is the spot, and this was an absolutely beautiful place. I mean, once you're on the greenway, this upper part is not very busy. It was absolutely beautiful. We made several stops, like this one on Riverside Drive on the Upper West Side. This is the firefighters monument. I did not take many pictures. We had fairly dry weather on the way down, but on the way up I was caught in drizzle after drizzle. So I was basically slowly rained on the whole 30-something miles that it took to get back to Westchester from 14th Street in Manhattan. You can see that my bike obviously took a beating. It took me about 2 hours to clean it up. But by the time I got back to Tarrytown, which is actually quite a charming place, the sun was coming out and the rain was over. The air was clear and beautiful, and there were these beautiful landscapes. I just took one picture of the bridge. It's right next to Tarrytown. This is the Tappan Zee. And then that was the end of the ride for me. Obviously, since I had energy in the battery, I could have tried to ride longer, but I was just exhausted, wet, and hungry. So this was the end of the ride. Analyzing the ride, I should note that almost all of it was downhill in the beginning. So the first half, coming down from Tarrytown to Lower Manhattan, was either downhill or flat. And during this part, when we got to about the Bronx Park about this far, we actually averaged 17 miles an hour. So you can go pretty fast and not use a lot of energy if you are going downhill. Now on the way up, obviously, if I change the direction, it gets pretty nasty. It's flat in the beginning, but it's almost constantly going up, not by a lot. I mean, in total you're covering maybe 250 feet of elevation, but it is over a long distance and a long period of time. And there were some steep uphills as well. There were a few places where I had to stand up. In general, I would say I tried to stick to no more than 100 watts of power throughout, on the way down, on the way up. And when there was a steep uphill, I would go up to 350, 400, even 500 watts a little bit. Especially in the beginning, when we were coming up on this steep elevation here, I had to go up to 500 to be able to climb it. And so I'm thinking, if I'm just riding down on south, I could probably do this for much farther up. I could go up to Beacon. That's 70 miles, and that would mean I would. It's almost all downhill with some nasty steep uphills, unless I want to correct that, maybe avoid that. So you have to play around. I could go even further up, New Hamburg. That's 80 miles already. Yeah, so somewhere around there I could definitely do Beacon, which is like really, really far up. But the point is, what I learned here is, once you go above 13 miles an hour with a big bag in the front of the Brompton, you are losing at least half of your energy struggling against the air resistance. So unless you have a really aerodynamic bike, there's probably no point riding above 13 miles an hour unless you're on some kind of a downhill. And if you have an electric bike with the ability to regenerate energy, then even then it's better to not take a downhill at 25 or 30 miles an hour, but to hit the brake, and maybe you take it at 17 or 20 and regenerate some energy. But you are really limited if you are hypermiling on an upright bicycle that has no aerodynamic components. You really don't want to go faster than 12 or 13 an hour, because once you get beyond that point, it's going to be just struggling against the air and the wind. So this is my analysis of the ride. I am going to try a 75 miles segment, maybe next time, maybe some other time, and I'll let you know how that went. In the meantime, I do recommend that you check out the e-bike kits that are available. I will be doing a separate video on just the topic of e-bikes and electrifying your existing small wheel bike by adding a kit. So this is it for now, and I'll be back in the next video.